and welcome back to another episode of The Modern Working Musician. I'm your host, Keegan Peluso, and my guest this week is not only a great example of what it means to be an elite performer and an incredible musician, but they're also a testament to how cool the internet can actually be sometimes. If you know me at all, you know I'm an avid disc golfer. I've been playing disc golf since I was a little kid. I'm terrible at it, but I still love it. And with that comes following different accounts on social media for disc golf, whether it's companies or disc golfers themselves. And that's how I came to meet my next guest, Mr. Gregg Barsby. Gregg is a drummer, he's a metalhead just like me, and he is also the 2018 Professional Disc Golf World Champion, which is incredible. So I've been a fan of Gregg's for several years now, and then I followed him on Instagram, and then one day, to my surprise, he followed me back. Next thing you know, we're talking about drum gear, we're talking about tuning, this, that, and the other. And then I asked him to be on the podcast, and he was more than willing, and he's been super supportive this whole time, which is awesome. Our conversation starts with, music, what got him into metal, what got him into drumming, all that good stuff. And then we kind of transition over into what it means to be an elite performer. We talk about his practice habits as a professional disc golfer, how he books tours as a professional disc golfer since he's a full-time touring pro, which means he's on the road 30, 40, 50 weeks out of the year. We talk about what it means to have a world champion attitude and how he handles pressure in high-pressure situations. Just a really, really insightful conversation from an elite performer in their field, which is amazing. A brief note on this episode, this is my first ever Skype interview. I know, somebody I'm a huge fan of, and this is my first one. No pressure. But that being said, there's a little bit of lag, a little bit of latency at times. I edited quite a bit of it out, so there's a lot less lag than there was. But that being said, the quality's there, the content's there, the conversation is great, so it's definitely worth a listen. So without further ado, please enjoy this amazing interview with 2018 Professional Disc Golf World Champion, Mr. Gregg Barsby. Cool, man. Well, for all of our listeners, welcome back to The Modern Working Musician, where each week we feature somebody who has a creative career path in music. My guest this week is probably one of the coolest people I've ever gotten the opportunity to sit down with, the 2018 PDGA World Champion, Gregg Barsby. Gregg, welcome to the show, man.
What's up, Keegan? Thank you for having me.
For sure, man. So I guess jumping right in, how long have you been playing music, man?
I started playing music just after high school. A couple friends of mine, we jammed through high school with our buddy Rob, but Anderson and I kind of kept going, and we started our first band, Non-Elect, in 2005, right after I graduated. And so we did that and a couple other projects probably till about 2011, and then I kind of fell out of the doing music.
Okay.
Focused on other stuff. And
I got you.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, I found a video on YouTube of one of your bands from like 2009. That was one of the recordings I could find of you playing. I can't remember the name of it though off the top of my head.
Yeah, 2009. Probably Sensual Saint. I'm surprised that there's something up that is it like a pop punk style band maybe, some Avenged Sevenfold.
No, there's some blast beats and stuff.
Oh, okay, so it might have been.
I know you're.
Wow, dang! I didn't even. I gotta find this video. I don't even know which band it was. There was another side project that we had rocking for a while.
Gotcha.
I mean, yeah, there's a treasure trove.
I'll shoot you the link after this. You want to check it out?
Too funny. Yeah, I've always been a big fan of metal, so it just kind of runs in my blood. I feel like once I found the metal stuff, like I had like Queen tapes and cassettes, right? Michael Jackson cassettes. Mm-hmm. But once I heard like Green Day and Rammstein, it was on.
I feel like, cause I'm a metalhead too. I do a lot of like more like prog-y stuff,
Okay.
But I feel like every metalhead kind of has that one defining moment. Like, in middle school, I got really into Kiss.
and had like their whole discography, you know. That was like my entry point. Was there ever like a defining moment you're like, okay, like the metal has touched me now or something, you know?
Yes. Yeah. Obviously, I really liked. I guess a kind of introductory to metal was punk. And I liked Pennywise, and then Green Day was a little bit more of a mainstream, but still maybe not at that point on the come up as far as different then. But I heard Slipknot, I think in eighth grade, and I thought that was the heaviest music on earth. I literally thought they were the heaviest band on the planet. And I have a friend,
Oh
Mike
yeah.
Griffith, who showed me a few really, really heavy bands. One of them, Dying Fetus, and once I heard Dying Fetus, I knew that the game was over at that point.
Oh yeah. That's cool, man.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I remember the first time I heard Dying Fetus. The name it jumps out at you for sure. So,
That's the thing, right? So like Dying Fetus is totally this band that said we're not going mainstream. We're not going there. We're just gonna name our band Dying Fetus. And funny enough, they found a ton of success in the underground. Well, they have a good product too. It's fast, it's heavy,
yeah,
good mosh riffs. So yeah, it's always a good time going to see Fetus. I've seen them probably 12 times or so.
really.
Yeah, I've hung
Um,
out with them a few
as
times now. They know me
uh,
for better or worse.
that's awesome. That's pretty cool, man.
Yeah.
As somebody that listens to like a very, you could call it a niche genre of music, um, and is also involved as what you could call like maybe a niche sport. Do you find any correlation with like playing disc golf and listening to metal?
Yeah. Yeah, for a while, I was like, oh, great. I like things that are just that make no cash. Great. I love things that just don't make any money.
I
um,
gotcha.
because when I came up in disc golf, still, I mean, it's still a niche sport, like you said. So there is there's profits to be made, but not like mainstream profits. Right? So you're not just
Yeah,
gonna hop into
it's
something
not the
crazy like
NFL.
that. That's right. So,
Yeah,
and in metal too, there's guys out there making it right now, but it's not all that it's cracked up to be. So, um,
yeah,
there are a lot of similarities. Just, thinking about the BS that you have to go through to do what you love to do, and you do it because you love to do it, not because it's, you're, the most profitable thing in the world, or I don't know.
yeah.
Metal's a
I
tough one.
I
It's a
think that's
long
a really
way.
cool. Yeah, I think that's a really cool correlation though, because like you find the things that you're passionate about, and you find a way to make those things work, as opposed as the other way around. So you have to be really creative in how you uh, map out your career and have a plan for things that you do. So I think that's really cool. Having kind of both of those things in your wheelhouse.
Yeah, I mean, I love to play metal. It's such a changing music's such a changing environment. I feel like even now it's on not necessarily shaky ground, but it's very uneven, and there's a few different ways I think you go about it from going on tour and putting out records, getting a record deal and putting those out, and then going down that road, or going completely do it yourself, maybe besides a distribution label deal, and then
Mhm.
and just pushing stuff online, and then putting out a lot of content prior to doing any of that. I guess you would say hard labor when you go on tour. 'Cause
Right.
we know how that
Uh,
goes. Those are
yeah.
long days,
Now
man.
for sure. Now just to jump ahead a little bit, like, are you working on anything right now, project wise? I was gonna say that to the end, but I'm curious now if you're working on anything music wise.
Yeah, I've had a buddy that's been coming over. He's a fellow disc golfer. He writes some really shreddy riffs. So we've been putting together, kind of composing. I think we're gonna try to get three of them done by the end of next month. That's kind of my deadline, being that I'm gonna
Yeah.
be going out and playing disc golf again all year. Um,
Mhm.
I just recently moved to East Texas, which will give me a little bit more freedom to coming back home, and then going out and playing golf, coming back home. So a
Nice.
little bit more time in between, but more importantly, it'll give me time to focus on other stuff too, because when I'm on the
Heck
road.
yeah.
It's just, it's so much focus on the disc. So, we got 3 songs, hoping to
Yeah.
be done by March. We don't have any sort of name for it yet or anything, but it sounded pretty good. I've got to work on my fills a little bit. I'm breaking off the rust.
I got. I got you. Hey, some of that stuff you're posting on Instagram though is, man, it's ripping. It's so good.
It's up there,
So,
man. My
I'm
feet have
definitely.
always been good, but I'm not Ken Bedini, right? I'm not George Kalias. These guys are on a different
Mhm.
parallel. Like, I got a jacked up foot, but I love to go fast, and I'm inspired by so many of the great drummers out there today. That, like, there's so many good drummers these days in the extreme metal field. I feel like there's at least 10 or 15 real standout drummers that, maybe there were only 2 or 3 a while ago. So the level's being pushed up. So it's badass.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. Um, if you could, what does your practice method look like when you practice in drum set?
Typically, I'm just starting with rudiments, right? Just snare rudiments, singles, doubles,
Yeah.
triples, um, and then I'll probably do, singles and then mimic it on the feet, switch it to doubles, try to mimic it on the feet and singles. And I don't do any of the heel toe stuff, so um, all my footwork is singles, but then I'll try to alternate it with singles, doubles, and triples up top, just to kind of
Mhm.
get in that groove.
Okay, awesome.
That
Man,
way
you doing all
everything's
that with like no heel toe or anything?
no, no,
That's awesome.
no heel toe, just the swivel technique. Actually, my friend Ken Bedini plays in this band Aborted from Belgium. He's
Mhm.
he's one of the best death metal drummers in the game, I think, at this point. And he's on a different level. His swivel technique is by far, in my opinion, the most superior technique. It's
For real.
impressive. Yeah, he's gonna be filling in for Decapitated on their next European tour as well. He's a very, very accomplished young drummer.
That's really cool, man. So,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that, see, my feet is what get, because I'm like a very, like I went to, like School of Music, all that stuff. So I'm like a lot of like coordinative stuff, like Latin drumming and stuff is my jam. And then when my feet start moving fast, it's all downhill from there. So I'm always looking to get my feet faster. So
See,
that's
I'm on
awesome,
the
man.
I'm on the opposite scale. I can mess around a little bit with the hi-hat, but I came in already kind of gearing towards the metal drumming. So, I watched videos
Yeah.
of Inferno from Behemoth when I was kind of
Mhm.
when I first started playing drumming, and Derek Roddy, a few of the legendary
Yeah.
heavy drummers. I mean, Neil Peart was somebody, as far as fills,
Check.
as always, Neil Peart had some of the best fills. And
Hmm.
it's traditional rock and roll too. My dad always listened to classic rock. Just tried to play some of the basics for him when I was messing around, so I didn't make too much of a
Heck yeah,
racket.
man. Yeah. Now you didn't start. You said you didn't start music till after high school, right?
That's right.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm a huge band nerd, so I'm always like, were you in band? Did you do anything like that? So,
I was in
um,
band.
oh yeah, awesome, man.
I see. I didn't even think about
Like,
that. Like, when did my music go? Like, yeah, I was in marching band in middle school. I marched in Disneyland twice.
what, dude? That's
I,
amazing, man.
yeah,
Oh yeah.
I played the
Uh,
trumpet, man. That's so funny. Yeah, I played the
wow.
trumpet. I got photos to back that up and everything.
Oh, dude, we might have to find that for like a throwback Thursday or something, man.
That's too good, dude. Oh, and you know what? I think the photo I'm thinking of, I totally didn't have my trumpet straight up. It was like a little bit down. I've always regretted it for the rest of my life. Like
Oh no,
my posture wasn't correct. I wasn't first chair. Let's just put it that way.
I got you. Did that influence you getting into drumming at all though, or no? Or was it just a totally separate like idea for you?
I always wanted to. I had an affinity to playing the drums,
Mhm.
but there was always a drummer. Oh, getting those phone calls from the people that want my social security number. Um,
Oh yeah, robocalls, man.
and I don't know how they got me, but no, I always wanted to play the drums, but I never really got the opportunity to sit behind the kit and learn, I guess, properly. once I really started getting
Gotcha.
into metal, I wanted to play the fast stuff, and it seemed like not that many drummers were playing fast stuff in my area. So I kind of took it on as more of a necessity to want to play. But then that was also coupled
Mm.
with, playing disc golf. I mean, I've been playing pro disc golf for 18 years. So
Yeah.
it was throughout those years I was also doing that as well. So I've always kind of been, torn between. Funny enough, you mentioned it in your first podcast back. I had the conversation with a friend of mine how when you have so many different things going at this level, if you have too many, none of them get up there, right? Because your time is eaten up in
Mhm.
between. So you really have to kind of trim the fat, if you will, and focus on the things that you think are, either you think are the right decision. Disc
Yeah, for
golf's
sure.
been good to me, and it's I want to play music more. I really do. I'd like to get into that realm because there's a lot I have to learn. So eventually I'll get there, but
Yeah.
disc golf's been number one.
Now, when getting into disc golf, I've had a few people like when they do music and stuff. Some people, it's one of those like, this is what I love to do the most, and then some people, it's like the they achieve like a reward level where they're like, okay, like I can make a serious, like I can make this into a career. Was it that way for you? Was it were you like, all right, I'm cashing at tournaments now. I think I can make this a job. Like, was that the point where you were like, all right, I want to do this for a living, or was it before that?
Yeah, it was before that. 'Cause I've been competitive since I was a young kid. When I started cashing pretty early. My first cash was at 16, and when the first time I
Okay.
won $1,000, I was 17. When you're pulling in $1,000 on the weekend, and you go ask Mr. Crowder, what was on the quiz, and he won't let you take it again. And then you think, you start
Hmm.
getting the realization, I made $1,000 this weekend throwing a frisbee around. Like, I don't know anybody at high school that's just got, $1,000 that's not even, that's not doing anything illicit. I mean, mine was fully,
Yeah.
fully legal and on the
Yeah.
board,
No, I tell. Right. I know that makes a lot of sense. You're like, all right, like, I'm over here, yeah,
There's,
racking my brain, but then like I just made $1,000 this weekend. This makes
there,
way more sense. No,
there's
I totally see where you
something,
come from.
there's something about it. But, like disc golf's the thing I love to do.
Hmm.
There's also the other side of it that there's a serious commitment that comes with it if you want to do it for real. I know a lot of local guys that are like, oh, I love playing, but you're, in my opinion, you're either all in or you're not. Now, if you have a really, really sweet situation with your job, I know a few guys that are able to play a lot of events and be a weekend warrior. But
Hmm.
you know, for me, it would be really hard to transition into something like that where I don't get the opportunity to travel and practice for events because I'm doing it full time, so I want to be able to give myself the best chance possible. That means getting there a few days
Yeah,
early and
for
being
sure.
able to rest at this point in my life too, which it can be
Yeah.
kind of hard sometimes.
Yeah. I feel
But
like that's what it takes. When you put it like that, though, it's, like that's what it takes to be a world champ, like you got to be willing to go all in on it.
yeah, I think the world championship really helped people see that I'm all in on it. you know,
Hmm.
because I get people
I
talking to me all
mean,
the time
yeah.
about videos and this YouTube video was funny and stuff and this and that and really when it all falls down to it, it's you and your disc, and it's the object that I have to
Hmm.
create with. I feel like it's probably um, my most creative tool, and where I've done
Oh,
some of my
yeah.
best work with the discs and physically just trying to paint pictures and move them around how I want to. That's the enigma and
Hmm.
the allure of the game to me is just being able to move them around at different times and just the creativity you can get with the flights. There's nothing like it. It's nothing like it, man.
Yeah. That's really cool how there's definitely like a sense of artistic expression there.
Yeah, right. Like every once in a while, I'll have a breakthrough on drums where it feels similar. Where I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
I'll be sitting on a riff and trying to get the groove of the riff physically, and then when I finally lock in the groove of the riff physically, it makes sense, like through my ears.
Mhm.
All of a sudden, it's kind of that aha moment where you take a step up. Disc golf's kind of always like that. There's that constant resurgence of, okay, you get to do this now, right? This is your task, or this is the goal. Okay, so you were saying you had a question for me, and then you went to Alien.
Oh yeah. I was going to talk about kind of comparing and contrasting like your disc golf practice methods to your music practice methods and how they might influence each other.
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't really correlate the two very often, but I guess in essence, right, it's almost like speed control. Like I'll relate it with the blast beat, because I'm really trying to work on my left hand and my right hand blast beat control, and the dexterity with my fingers, being able to take it from where I'm using my arm or my wrist to where I'm just working the fingers and using the rebound. Those three kind of are, I guess I have a certain range on the putting green. I'll practice, from 18 to 26 feet. It's kind of a smoother move. Then once I get out to about 27 to 35, it's a slightly different move. And then once I get outwards at 35, 40 feet, more of a full move. So I guess it would kind of be the same thing, and they'll have, you use them a little bit differently. Like, the fingers don't really require a lot of effort. It's more of just a precise move and feeling and touch. I feel like that's kind of the short ones for me. Less of a physical move. They don't correlate too much other than that. I could tell you one thing. The most important for me is just putting in that time to where I have a knowledge of the feeling and the understanding of the feeling that I want to get.
I got you.
Yeah.
So it's really about like a kinesthetic, like internalization kind of.
Yeah, just to where I know what's going on, and I can diagnose issues if they come up. I'm better at this at disc golfing than I am at drumming.
Yeah, I got you.
But just being able to, because I'm throwing a disc through the air. Nothing's perfect, right? Now you can look on camera and something looks like it does, but it might feel differently. And I've had people come up and say, "Wow, your putting style is way different," and all that. And, well, my idea is to get it in. Like there's no right way to do it, and I feel like that's another great correlation between disc golf and music, is that there's no wrong way to do it. You can make your own way and be able to kind of take influence from different styles and find a way to play. Just kind of like in drumming too. I feel it's a never-ending game. Like to disc golf, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But the game isn't over. You keep playing the game. The gig ends, but you got another gig some other time, and you're going to get better to there. So.
Yeah, very cool, man.
Yeah,
cool.
I mean, that's probably one. That's a really, really great question, for real. There's a ton of musicians.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Disc golfers that probably can relate with that on the musician side a little bit more.
But I 100% agree too. Like when I start new students on drum set, I used to be like very technique based, like teach this is like how you hold the sticks and stuff. And I see more and more people like, as long as you're not holding the stick in a way that's going to injure you in the long run, then let's start from there and let's just start playing some drums,
Yeah, let's roll with it. Yeah.
Yeah. And like it's better to get your hands moving than spend all day worrying about technique.
No, I know it. Well, inevitably, right, with the body, everybody does things a little bit differently, and the way that I swing my disc, it might not be so good for a fellow that weighs 245 and is 6'3". I highly doubt that we're going to swing the same. We've got a different body structure and a little bit more body weight that moves around differently, right? Like, always when I'm teaching, I try to just bring in, okay, what are your strengths? Let's see what you're good at first, and then we'll improve those, and then we can go someplace to where maybe you're not so good at. But I always like to like really touch on what someone's good at, and even help them improve at that too. you know.
Yeah, that's an excellent. I mean, now teaching in public school, like that's like standard like public school teaching 101 too, man. So yeah, that's pretty cool, man.
Good, perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I like
heck
it.
yeah, dude. See, you're a born teacher too, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, I love to teach disc. I'm so fortunate, man. I've been blessed. I've had great opportunity to go a lot of places and teach thousands of people disc golfing, which is unbelievable. You know, who'd have thought years ago that I'd be doing this now full time, all the time? I mean, I'm as busy as I've ever been, probably more.
Yeah.
Which is a good
Dude.
thing.
That's
And it
that.
can also wear you out too. But.
I believe it. That kind of helps me transition into my next question. Like, have you
Yeah.
ever experienced any sort of burnout, or how do you avoid burnout if you hit it?
Burnout's tough because, well, especially in disc golf, because it's a long season. So inevitably you burn for a couple events, right? Until you kind of rise from the ashes and get back up. Yeah, I've burned out on disc golf probably 6 or 7 times
Really?
in my life. You know, it's the love of the flight of the disc that keeps me coming back. You know, it's that feeling of doing exactly what I want, a little bit of control that I get from playing disc. I'm a perfectionist, so it's a tough game for me, but it's a hard game for me to play sometimes. I'm just splitting the needle out there. I'm like, you know,
Gotcha.
I've got a wide shot selection, so that can be a really, really great thing, or that can be a really, really a big problem because it comes down to which decisions you make. And, you know, I might have opportunity to play 4 or 5 different ways. You know, which way is going to get me the best number? Because we're playing golf, right? So it's like sometimes it might not be the shot I want to throw. It's the shot that I need to throw to get the number consistently. And burning out can be, there's a multitude of ways to avoid it. One is to not overplay. Inevitably, when you overdo something, you burn out. You know, you feel like you spin the wheels. It's like the tires hitting the mud. You know, you're not going anywhere. You're spinning the wheels, but it's not working. And inevitably, you just sink deeper in the hole, and you're more frustrated than you ever are. So then you have to climb out of that. The first thing to avoid that is probably not playing as much.
I gotcha.
Which can also that can also really improve your head game too, because you have to sit and you have to sit back, take a step back, and say, okay, I know what to do. Or, you know, it could be in music too. You know, like if you're in the studio, I've been in the studio a couple times and I'm frustrated 45 minutes in. You're gonna go take a breather for 20 minutes real quick and just like step back to it, right? You're not gonna hit that lick right now. Maybe move on to another track or something else that you can sidetrack to. You go back, you hit it the first time. You know, if you know how to do it, it's when your mind gets in the way of you just doing it over and over and over, it gets frustrating. Sometimes you just got to take a step back and look at it objectively, be like, you know what, I don't need to do this right now. Like disc golfing isn't the best thing for me. Today I went and played 2 rounds and I was grinding, you know, like I would be in a tournament. And I was frustrated with the numbers I got because I know I can do a little bit better. I get to sit tomorrow and think about it. I'm not going to play and think about the stuff I could have done right or whatnot. You know, more opportunities.
I gotcha. Now, would you ever like, if you're like in the heat of like a touring season, and you start feeling like that, have you ever like, would you ever just like dial back a practice round, or would you consider dropping out of a tournament, or?
Yeah, I mean, I've dropped out of a few if I'm not feeling up to it physically, and it's more of a longevity thing. But main thing, yeah, I'll dial back on practice rounds for sure, and I just take out my putters and I just go and throw those around.
Okay.
You know, kind of like just back to the fundamentals, which are the foundation to what you're doing. You know, you get back to the core essence of what's the most important, and that's typically just being able to throw the disc smoothly, or, you know, accomplish what you're trying to do physically without much effort. But that's a big part of my game, trying to get maximizing what I'm doing with the minimal effort.
Mm-hmm. And from our conversations, that seems like your approach to drumming too is like, um, how can I do this as relaxed as possible without any sort of tension or anything like that?
Yeah. See, I've tried to mimic Ken in a sense. There's a few guys I really look up to in the drumming. Ken Medini is definitely the number one. I mean, he's so fluid, it's unreal. I look at him and I don't want to play drums anymore. There's a few guys,
Oh yeah.
you know, but yeah, just being able to do things for an extended period of time, right? Same concept. Now, if I go and practice Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and then the tournament's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, that's 7 days in a row I'm playing. So it's imperative that I can get a little bit of rest. If we have a Friday start, I might take Monday off after the tournament, and then maybe get like that putter practice in Tuesday. Wednesday will be my day to really go hard and get a number out of the deal. Thursday I'm on relax mode, and then into the tournament. Just kind of
Awesome.
longevity. Want to be able to do
Gotcha.
it physically for as long
So I can't.
as. Go ahead.
Cool.
I'm sorry.
Well, cool. I'd like to transition just a little bit, if that's cool, man.
Of course, yeah.
Cool. So one of the questions I got here, like, I think one really great thing about you and a lot of full-time touring pros is it's really we're in an age where like freelancing is huge, and it seems like and I think it's definitely safe to say or consider you like a successful freelancer. So if you had to pick like 1 to 3 of like your most important character traits as a successful freelancer, like maybe it's like showing up early, being approachable. If you had to pick like 1 to 3 of your favorite character traits in someone in your position, what would you say they are?
It's a deep question. Just being relatable with everybody. Not closing doors and keeping them open, understanding when they open and how they open, and which ones to kind of walk through, and then having the awareness to know which ones that you don't need to walk through. That's
cool. Very
especially,
cool, man.
Especially in a position where if people are coming at you, and they want, they want your services, or they want to have a part in what you're doing. Just understanding that. Just looking at all the options, I guess, and keeping the doors open. Again, right? It's easier to build bridges or burn bridges than it is to build them. But not overextending yourself. I think as far as a character trait, people love my happy-go-lucky nature. For better or worse, I think that it takes somebody for a ride. A lot of times there might be some tumultuous times on the rise to the top. So that's one, keeping a positive spirit too, probably be the most important one. Bringing really good energy. What I've been trying to do for many years on the road is bring good energy everywhere I go.
Awesome, man. Awesome. It's really cool for you to just like hop in on a podcast like this where we're like, 6 episodes in too. So like, that's really awesome of you to do something like that for this podcast, man.
And you're more than welcome, bro. I appreciate the opportunity. I've been watching some of your stuff, and it's inspiring watching you, just go after the project. And kudos for doing that.
Thanks, man. Thanks.
I'd really like to get off the ground, and I find it tough. It's just so funny how relatable it is. What you were talking about in that first episode to where I am. I mean, I've got 2 different tours going on, right? I'm hosting 2 of my own tours, plus the Millennium Flex starts, plus other challenges, and then I'm also playing in 25 events this year. So I have a really full plate.
I got you.
And it gave me like a step back real quick where I was like, yeah, why have I done this to myself? I need to focus on a couple things, and so thank you for inspiring me to do that. I'll be focusing on my disc golf game.
Oh man.
Dude,
I'm honored, man.
I plan on having a really good run this year in Utah, and I think think if I could pull down another one of these, the disc golf world might pop more than they did the first time I won the championship. So,
Oh yeah, for sure.
you know.
Yeah. So I'd like to get in the weeds a little bit if that's cool, man.
Yeah, sure.
I think something like this would definitely correlate over into like being a freelance musician. What when you book your disc golf tours, like could you kind of dive into like the logistics of that? Like because it's more than just like what tournaments you want to play and signing up for them. So what, and you don't have to expand, like just in a nutshell, what kind of goes into booking a disc golf tour when you go out on tour?
For me personally, or just in general?
I mean, we can keep it general.
Okay. Yeah, I think there's a few different things when you're booking. First of all, what kind of amenities are you dealing with, and what your setup is. If you've got a fully stocked, either an RV or an outfitted van, then you can kind of go a lot of places. RVs might not be able to get off road as much, but typically you can get to most of the spots if you have something like that. And then you're set up for, I guess you would say, a longer term tenure at whatever venue. That would kind of dictate where you might want to go. Now, if you're a pro, you're going to probably go to the bigger events where there's a lot of money. If you're a player that just wants to go explore the country and play great golf courses and meet a ton of cool people, then you can kind of strategically plan that out. And I think you'd probably get a little bit more in the mountains and maybe stay out of the prairie a little bit more. I know I would appreciate that, but that's not where the disc golf is right now. So like, a lot of the pros are going to follow the tour, and but if you're going to go and do a kind of a vacation getaway, there's some amazing places that are off the touring radar that I think are
Really?
just magical pieces of property, right? You go out to a place and it's set up for you to go enjoy and recreate and play your favorite game in the world. It's cool to see places like that. So,
very cool.
But I guess to detail a little bit more, since I'm doing events on the side and playing, all of a sudden now the schedule becomes really serious. And scheduling out times to make sure that we have adequate driving time to be able to get to a course if we're doing a little side gig amongst a big tournament or kind of in between. So a lot of times, especially around this time of year, I'm on Instagram and I'm on the phone a lot, trying to dial in the schedule and get everything on the board. That way, once I get on the road, I can focus on playing golf instead of having to focus on other stuff. Good organization.
Yeah, good call. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I think that seems to be the running theme too with most of the people I talk to. It's like, do what you want and what you're passionate about, but have a really, really good plan when you jump into it.
Yeah. And look, touring's great, right? It's so much fun until you're exhausted and you're 7 weeks in. You just lost a couple of your favorite frisbees. All of a sudden, things start getting real, and just having a good crew of people that are around you as well. I think that's having a support system really helps, even if it's just a couple friends, someone to keep it lighthearted with, and because it's not a 9 to 5, right? It's our own creative and personal freedoms to go and do that kind of stuff that we're blessed with. So just keeping that overall positive spirit, no matter what the weather. I mean, I know we all have our moments where either, some people have bad days, but I think overall just keeping that positive mind frame, especially when you're on the road.
Yeah, for sure.
When you're dealing with somebody you don't know or a promoter or something, just keeping level heads real big.
Cool. What would you say are some pitfalls to avoid when you're going out on tour for such a long time?
Overplaying, overbooking, which I've fallen victim to. Pitfalls. Be prepared. be okay with the serendipity
Gotcha.
of life taking over and you being able to be malleable to the situations around you. The last thing you want to do is be in an argument with somebody that you're in close proximity with. So depending on who you're touring with or whatnot, that can become a serious issue. So I guess watch who you're touring with. And always get gas. Don't be without
I
gas.
gotcha. Cool.
Don't be without gas.
Nice. Nice. Cool.
Oh, I got stories.
How do you say you manage high pressure situations? Oh, was that I lost you for a sec?
I try not to think about high pressure situations. If I do think about them, I try to mentally understand that it's a high pressure situation and I should act accordingly. In all situations, try to act casual. And when you're playing, I guess, or when you do have high pressure situations, whether it be playing a big gig or whatever, try to act like you've been there before. And if you do great, you're gonna hear the praises, and if you fall down, then you're gonna kind of have to eat some dirt a little bit, but be willing to eat the dirt and keep digging.
I gotcha. That leads me really well into my next question, actually.
What's that?
Do you, and you don't have to answer this one if you don't want to, but do you have a favorite failure?
Yes, I have a couple.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I had a 5-stroke lead at the Creekside Open. Can't remember what year was it. 14, I think, 14 or 15. And I figured I for sure had it wrapped up about 8 holes to go. And I ended up losing the tournament, and it was a heartbreaker. The guy won his first, real big tournament or whatever. And it was at the expense of me failing. And I just thought about how much I'd failed instead of looking at the situation. And, I put so much pressure on myself to win that I lost instead of just playing it out and understanding that he did everything that he could to catch me, and then I did the rest. Right. So trying not to fall victim to, my own frustrations and whatnot when it comes to playing, and not being attached personally to the situation. And then my other favorite failure would be the European Open in 2017. I led the tournament from the first until the very last hole. And my failure there was throwing it out of bounds. And through the entire event, I didn't execute some shots I know I should have. I should have smashed the tournament record. That would have never been broken. I don't think anybody's ever played the course as well as I have that week. I ended up getting beat by one throw. And, that really stung bad because that was my second place at the major stage. Second one by one throw. So I've got a couple of them that have been, really close. Not got there, but that was my favorite failure because it drove me to win the Worlds the next year. I couldn't let go and think that I was going to be the bridesmaid forever, and I'm not a bridesmaid. That's why I'm a world champion, which is good. I've got a strong, stubborn mentality.
Heck yeah, man.
Real stubborn.
Yeah, it was really cool kind of watching that happen on the sidelines too, like how it all rolled out. Because I remember watching European Open, like at on I think it's the spin, and then
great tournament.
And then coming back and watching you win Worlds like the next year was pretty awesome just to watch that whole thing unfold. So.
Yeah. Paul and I we had a few majors there where we played together in the final round, and he bested me at a couple of them. That was my main thing, was to make sure that I buried the hatchet when I got the opportunity. And the World typically been my worst event. I hadn't really played that well at the World Championships. I think before that I was known as a really good player, but maybe to the unknowing populace, it's just somebody that hadn't broken through or won the tournament, and I couldn't sit by and think that was like okay. It wasn't okay with me because I'm putting so much time and effort. I'm putting my heart, my soul, my spirit into playing. I've compromised relationships and right? Home life and friendships and all that stuff, like a musician would when they go out on the road, and they dedicate themselves to a
Mhm.
higher vision that they have. Um, yes, that was like a really special one because once I finally got in the race at Worlds, I was like, man, okay. I went in the lead on the third day. I didn't play great on the fourth day, but I still had the lead, and I'm going in the final round, and I'm thinking, man, is this it? Like we're finally here. This is it. I've been waiting. Like the World Championships has been my worst tournament, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not only am I in the race, I'm in the lead by 2 throws. What am I supposed to
Mhm.
be feeling right now? and
Yeah.
and I went up to Barry Schultz, and I asked Barry because Barry is a 2-time world champion, and I asked him, like, all right, Barry, what do you got for me, man? Like, what do you got for me, Barry? I need something. and Barry says, just don't do anything different now. Don't do anything different now. You're there. I'm like, Barry, I need
Mhm.
putts to go in the basket, Barry. I'm freaking out over here. But that was some great advice and just, very, very composed. Yeah, that's what he told me. And, I didn't do anything
Yeah.
different. And
Awesome.
that was the difference, too. I didn't do anything different. I didn't over try. I think I've been over trying so much, trying to prove
Yeah.
this, trying to prove that, instead of just like letting it happen.
Mhm. Man, that's actually another perfect segue. One of my last questions. What does the phrase "world champion mindset" mean to you?
Oh, means you stand real tall. Thank you. Um, World champion mindset. I think it's a great question. I mean, I'm still in the position, right? I won the world championship, but I'm still working on being a world champion every single day when I wake up, right? World champion human, just through action and um, through the way that I express myself to the world. World champion mindset, I think, is more of an assertion than a mindset. Like you need to assert yourself in a way that you're going to make a stand, or whether that be with your music, from physically to the meaning that you're trying to portray behind your music, or the lyrics that you're putting out, and like that also comes like in to really split the needle. Like the words that you're saying have meaning, and putting across what you want to say properly is really, really important. For instance, some people want to have an impact. I want to make an impression. You know,
Awesome.
because an
Yeah,
impact
for
is
sure.
really damaging. And impression's a little bit more, I guess, a little more subtle. So
Mhm.
just having that understanding, I think, is a world champion mindset. Just understanding the difference. Being able to see through being, hey, I'm the best. To uh, we're all the best at what we do. Put your mind to it, you can be the best at it. I
Yeah.
mean, to a certain extent, right? It's not. I'm not going completely liberal here, but you know what I mean. Like
Man, what? Sorry, you broke up for a second. What was that? I'm so sorry.
uh, it's just like we're all the best at what we do. Like I don't mean to be too liberal in that sense, right? But it's like we're all here to do our thing, and just doing it to the best of your ability. Like looking at what you got and using it for a positive, using it for a positive thing.
Yeah, for sure. Cool, man. Greg, where can people find you, man?
You can find me on a disc golf course somewhere around the world. Um, you can find me on all my social media, on Instagram, Gregg Barsby, Barsby Line on Facebook, uh, the Barsby Battle Series. You can find me all year on that tour, Barsby
Awesome.
Series, and then you can also find me at the High Energy Tour this year. We're going to be doing a couple of big events with a lot of top pros. Actually, funny enough, Keegan, and I'm hoping to bring this to Nashville. I would love to have
Oh
you be
yeah.
part of it. So we should talk about that. We should talk about that
Oh
when
yeah,
this
dude.
conversation's over. It would be fantastic.
Yeah.
Actually, that's
Yeah,
it.
I'm down here in Memphis, man. So
You're in Memphis?
yeah, I'm in Memphis.
Dude, that place is crazy, man. I love Memphis, dude. You got Bud Hill right there.
Oh, for
Dude, that's a spot,
yep.
man.
Yeah,
You
I've
got,
played Bud Hill.
dude,
Shell. I grew up. Have you played Shelby Forest?
I've played Shelby Forest.
Yeah, I grew up playing Shelby Forest, man.
That's a fun track. That's a fun little course. I played out there with
Hmm.
Crazy John Brooks one time.
Oh yeah.
You heard of him?
John Brooks. No.
It's Crazy John Brooks.
Oh, sorry. No, I haven't heard of Crazy John Brooks either.
He's truly crazy, dude. This guy. There's too many stories. Interestingly enough, before you go, I do want to prop the High Energy Tour because this is the most fantastic platform to be able to prop a tour like this. There's a lot of people that have been wanting to do this for a long time. We're coming together as a collective. Excuse me. A lot of the players are coming together. A lot of players are coming together for the High Energy Tour. This first one's got 9 people on the bill. Right, we got Philo, myself, Jay and Des, Alex Russell, Rebecca Cox, Luke Humphreys, Ezra Adehold. Headlining is James Conrad, U.S. champion. It's gonna be fantastic, bro. We're gonna have music out there, some food. Like I said, a lot of us touring players have wanted to come together for a long time to kind of coalesce and bring a real vibe and a real energy to the disc golf community. So we're gonna be doing 5 of these throughout this year. Our first one's in Dallas in March. Now, I thought you were in Nashville because I'm hoping to do one in Nashville right around the end of the National Tour Series. But I would still love to have you out there.
Okay.
Because I think that'd be fantastic.
Oh, yeah. It's like 3 hours. I'm out there all the time, man, so I can definitely do that.
And we're doing, we kind of want to bridge that gap with a lot of the music and cultural similarities that we have with disc golf and, bringing music in, kind of just bringing a bigger vibe, dude, bigger vibration, literally, from music to more heads, trying to bring out 9 to 12 of the best disc golfers in the world to every one of these. So it'd be really fun to have you on in Nashville. We're going to try to sort that out.
Oh, yeah, man. That sounds awesome. I'm super stoked, dude. That sounds amazing.
It's going to be cool. This first one, we've got a DJ spinning, and then we might get some local talent, Ian Power. If you haven't checked out Ian Power, he's a great guitarist from here in Tyler. Also a disc golfer. Cool. So always trying to prop my disc golfer buddies and their side hustles too. And Ian's a great guy. So
awesome.
Yeah, let's talk about that. And thank you so much for having me. And thank you to everybody that listens to this. Keep supporting Keegan and the Modern Working Musician. I really appreciate you having me on.
Dude, thank you so much, man. Before we go, anything new and exciting? Yeah.
Just had a birthday, and I want to thank everybody out there that wished me a happy birthday, especially my wonderful girlfriend who got me a nice pair of golf shorts, and I can't wait to put them on and go to Arizona in a week. So catch me on the Disc Golf Pro Tour, on Disc Golf Media, and yeah, holler at your boy, man. Let's rock. I'm ready.
Heck yeah. Cool. Well, dude, Greg, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure, man. It's been so amazing having you on here.
Man, my honor, dude. Thank you.
Well, have a good one, man, and we'll be in touch soon.
Sweet. Thanks.